Sharks are one of those animals that just fascinate people. Whether it's their grace in the water or their raw power. There's just something about these fish that captures our attention, but with that fascination comes a lot of myths and misconceptions. So today we're gonna be diving deep into everything sharks to bring you all the facts you need to know about them. From their amazing adaptations to some surprising stats you probably didn't know before. Let's get started. First things first, let's talk about what makes a shark a shark. As of 2023, there are 500 different species of sharks living in our oceans around the world. Sharks can be found in both salt and freshwater, and they can live in very extreme environments from the freezing cold waters of the Arctic to the scalding heat of Florida's coral reefs. They're also a pretty diverse bunch when it comes to size. The smallest shark is the dwarf lantern shark, which only grows to be about 6 centimeters long, while the largest is the whale shark, which can grow up to an astonishing 12 meters in length. That's bigger than a great white, and that's a big fish. Now, despite their differences in size and habitat, all sharks have a few things in common. For starters, they're all cartilaginous fish, which means their skeleton is made of cartilage rather than bone like ours. This makes them more flexible, but also more vulnerable to injury. To protect their bodies, sharks have tough, flexible skin covered with tiny scales that help reduce drag in the water and make them more hydrodynamic. And speaking of their skin, if you've ever seen a shark up close, you may have noticed that it has a sandpapery texture. That's because the tiny scales on their skin overlap each other like shingles on a roof, creating a rough surface that helps the water flow over their body more easily. This is helpful for sharks because it reduces the amount of energy they have to use to swim and lets them conserve their strength for hunting or escaping predators. Another thing that all sharks have in common is their mouth. Unlike most fish which have teeth on the roof of their mouths, sharks only have teeth on their lower jaw. Now, this isn't unique to sharks, but all members of the group called cartilaginous fish also have teeth on their lower jaw. Their teeth are constantly being replaced throughout their lives. So if a shark loses a tooth while eating prey, it won't be without a replacement for long. So now that we know what makes a shark, let's take a closer look at some of their amazing adaptations. One of the most well-known adaptations of sharks is their sense of smell. Sharks have an incredible ability to detect blood in the water from great distances, which helps them find injured prey or mates. In fact, some species of sharks can pick up the scent of blood from a single drop in 100 million drops of seawater. That's equivalent to us smelling a teaspoon of sugar in a backyard swimming pool. How do they do it? Well, sharks have special cells in their noses called olfactory receptors, which are responsible for detecting odors in the water. These receptors send signals to the shark's brain, which then interprets them as specific smells. But it's not just their sense of smell that's amazing. Sharks also have electroreceptors in their snouts called the ampulla of Lorenzini, which allow them to sense the electrical fields generated by other organisms. This helps them to detect the heartbeat of a potential mate or the muscle activity of a potential meal. The combination of their keen sense of smell and electroreception makes it almost impossible for a shark to miss a tasty morsel of food or an opportunity to reproduce. Another adaptation that sharks are known for is their incredible speed. Some species of sharks, such as the Galapagos shark, can reach speeds of up to 46 kilometers per hour in short bursts. That's faster than most humans can run. To achieve these high speeds, sharks have streamlined bodies and powerful tails that propel them through the water with ease. Additionally, their muscles are specially adapted to generate thrust, allowing them to maintain their speed for extended periods. But sharks' adaptations don't stop there. They also have some unique adaptations when it comes to reproduction. Most shark species are ovoviviparous. which means that their eggs hatch inside the mother's body, and she gives birth to live young. This is different from most other fish, which lay eggs outside of their bodies. There are even some species of sharks that are viviparous, meaning that they nourish their offspring with milk like mammals instead of laying eggs. Now, this might seem strange, but it allows the shark embryos to grow larger and increases their chances of survival. Speaking of their offspring, sharks typically have small litters, usually less than 10 pups at a time. This is because they invest a lot of energy into each pup, making sure they're big enough to survive on their own once they're born. Some species of sharks, such as the blue shark, have a gestation period of just over a year, while others, like the basking shark, have a gestation period of up to 3 years. This means that the pups stay inside the mother's body for a long time, absorbing nutrients and growing. Now, let's move on to some surprising facts about sharks that you may not know. For starters, did you know that sharks don't have bones? We mentioned this earlier, but it's worth repeating because it's such a unique trait. Instead of bones, sharks have skeletons made of cartilage, the same stuff that's in your nose and ears. This makes them more flexible than bony fish, but also more vulnerable to injury. But don't worry, sharks have tough, flexible skin that helps protect them from harm. Another surprising fact about sharks is that they don't need to keep moving to breathe. Unlike some other fish, sharks can pump water over their gills without moving their bodies. This is thanks to special structures in their gills called gill pouches, which act like suction cups to draw water in. Once the water passes over their gills, the sharks can extract oxygen and release carbon dioxide, allowing them to stay in one place for extended periods of time. And speaking of their gills, did you know that a shark's gills can be used to determine its age? By counting the rings inside the gills, scientists can estimate how old a shark is. Each ring represents a year of growth, similar to the rings on a tree. Now, this isn't a perfect method, but it's still useful for getting a rough estimate of a shark's age. Let's move on to some interesting facts about specific types of sharks. First, the whale shark, which is the largest fish in the world, feeds primarily on plankton and small fish. Despite its massive size, the whale shark is a filter feeder, meaning that it sucks in huge amounts of water and filters out the small organisms it eats. Next, the hammerhead shark, which has a unique head shape that's wider than it is long. This gives them an extremely wide field of vision, allowing them to spot prey from great distances. Hammerheads are also known for their bizarre mating behavior, which involves the males forming a circle around a female and then one male fertilizing her eggs, while the others wait their turn. Finally, the cookie-cutter shark, which is a small shark with very sharp teeth that it uses to take bites out of larger fish. Despite its small size, the cookie-cutter shark is a fierce predator and its bite can be painful and dangerous. Now it's time for some fun shark-themed quizzes to test your knowledge. Here are a few questions for you to answer. First, what is the smallest species of shark? A. Dwarf lantern shark. B. Whale shark. C. Great white shark. Second, which shark has a gestation period of up to 3 years? A. Blue shark. B. Basking shark. C. Hammerhead shark. Third, what part of a shark can be used to determine its age? A. Fins. B. Gills. C. Teeth. Now that you've answered those questions, here are the correct answers. ONEA dwarf lantern shark. 2. B. Basking shark. 3. B. Gills. We hope you learned a lot about sharks today. Remember, sharks are amazing creatures that play an important role in our oceans. They're not just scary monsters that should be feared, but fascinating animals that should be admired and respected. Thanks for joining us on this journey of discovery, and until next time, happy sharking!